You know that feeling when you've been pouring everything into your business, your time, your energy, your savings, maybe even your relationships, and yet somehow it still feels like you're running on a treadmill that keeps speeding up but never actually taking you anywhere? That hollow exhaustion where you lie awake at night staring at the ceiling, doing mental math that never quite adds up, wondering if this is just what building something is supposed to feel like. I want you to know right now that what you're feeling is not weakness, it's not failure. It's the natural result of using strategies that were never built to create real, lasting growth in the first place. And here's the uncomfortable truth that most business content will never tell you. Working harder is not the answer. It never was. The businesses that actually scale, that actually generate consistent revenue without their owners burning out and breaking down, they are not working 10 times harder than you. They're thinking completely differently. And that's exactly what we're going to get into today. Because the gap between where you are right now and where you actually want to be is not made of effort, it's made of strategy. Before we go any further, if you already recognize that something needs to change in how you're approaching your business growth, we have programs linked down below in the video description that go much deeper than what we can cover here. People who are exactly where you are right now have used those resources to completely transform how their business operates and what it produces. Don't scroll past them. The window to access what's there will not stay open, and the ones who move fast are almost always the ones who actually change their trajectory. If you're serious, go look. If you're not ready, that's okay too, but this video was made for the ones who are. Now let's talk about what sustainable growth actually means, because most people have it completely backwards. Imagine you're filling a bathtub. Most business owners are running the tap as fast as it'll go, exhausted, sweating, doing everything right on the surface. But there's a giant drain open at the bottom. And no matter how much water they add, the tub never fills. That drain is what poor strategy does to your business. It drains the results of your effort before they can ever accumulate into something real. Sustainable growth is about closing the drain first. It's about building systems that hold what you create, that compound over time, that work whether you're at your desk or not. Here's where it gets specific, and this is where most people either have a breakthrough or get defensive. The number one mistake that keeps businesses small is confusing activity with progress. Sending 20 emails a day feels productive. Posting on every social media platform feels like marketing. Taking call after call feels like hustle. But if none of those activities connect to a clear, repeatable mechanism that turns attention into revenue, you are burning fuel in a car that has no destination programmed into it. Businesses that grow sustainably have what's called a customer acquisition loop. It's not complicated. Someone discovers you. They understand immediately what you do and why it matters to them. They take a low-risk first step, they experience real value, and then they either come back or they refer someone else. That's the loop. Every single piece of content, every offer, every email, every conversation should feed that loop. When you stop doing random things and start feeding the loop, everything changes. Let me paint you a picture of what this looks like in practice. Think about someone who runs a service-based business. They're spending hours every week trying to find new clients, doing it from scratch every single time, no system, just raw effort. They close a few deals, but the pipeline is always unpredictable. Some months are incredible, some months are terrifying. Sound familiar? Now imagine that same person builds a simple content system that educates their ideal client on a problem those clients are already losing sleep over. The content does the trust building automatically. By the time someone reaches out, they already believe in what this person does. The sales conversation is shorter, easier, higher converting. Revenue becomes more predictable. Stress drops dramatically. That same amount of time that used to produce scattered results now produces compounding momentum. The difference in revenue over 12 months is not 10%. People who make this shift often report 2 times, 3 times, sometimes 5 times the output from the same or less effort. Not because they got lucky, because they closed the drain. Now here's something that most business advice completely skips over, and it might be the most important thing you hear today. Your business will only grow as fast as your capacity to think clearly about it. And most entrepreneurs are so deep in the day-to-day grind that they have completely lost the ability to see their own business objectively. They're inside the jar trying to read the label. You cannot solve a problem with the same thinking that created it. This is not motivational fluff. This is neurological reality. The businesses that achieve real scale almost universally credit one thing above all others: outside perspective combined with proven frameworks. Not inspiration, not motivation. Frameworks. Repeatable, tested, structured approaches to pricing, positioning, client acquisition, team building, and offer creation. The ones who figure this out stop trying to invent everything from scratch and start implementing what already works. And here is something worth sitting with. Every month you spend without the right framework is not a neutral month. It's a month where your competition is potentially pulling ahead, where the compounding effect that could be working for you is not running, where you are trading time that you will never get back for results that don't stack. Time is the one resource you cannot recover. Every other resource in business, money, clients, reputation can be rebuilt. Time spent without the right strategy is simply gone. Let's talk about pricing, because this is where I see some of the most painful patterns. Businesses underpricing their services out of fear, believing they need to be the cheapest option to compete. But think about this logically. If you're competing on price, you are always one competitor away from losing. The businesses that dominate their markets are never the cheapest. They're the most positioned. They've built a specific identity around a specific transformation for a specific type of client, and that positioning creates demand that is not price sensitive. When you get your positioning right, you can charge what your value actually deserves. And here's the emotional reality of this. When you're finally charging what you're worth, everything changes internally. You stop resenting your clients. You stop feeling drained by your work. Start showing up with energy and confidence because you're no longer operating at a deficit. That shift is not just financial. It's psychological. It's relational. It changes how you carry yourself everywhere. Now think about what sustainable growth actually looks like on the other side. Not just the revenue numbers, though yes, those change dramatically. Think about waking up in the morning and knowing your pipeline is full because your system is running. Think about having actual weekends again. Not because you're lazy, but because your business doesn't collapse when you step away from it. Think about looking at your bank account at the end of the month and seeing growth that you can plan around, invest around, build a life around. That is not a fantasy. That is what happens when strategy replaces random effort. It's what happens when you stop being the engine of your business and start building the engine into the business itself. The people watching this who take what they've heard today and actually implement it will be in a completely different place 12 months from now. Not because of talent, not because of luck, because they made a decision to do something different with what they now know. If you're someone who recognizes that you've been running hard without the right map, the programs we have linked in the video description below were built for exactly that moment of recognition. These are resources built around what actually produces transformation in real businesses. Not theory, not generic advice, but structured, strategic approaches that have produced real results for real people who are sitting exactly where you're sitting right now. The people who never access those resources will likely keep doing what they've been doing and wondering why the results don't change. The ones who do access them tend to look back at this exact moment as the turning point. Go check them out in the description. The time to move is now.